Hi, folks. Welcome to the program, All About Cars. My name is Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center, located in the north end of New Bedford on Church Street, 867 Church Street, and I run it with my son, Andrew. We're just off of Route 140, so if you haven't been by to visit us, maybe today would be a good day to go by. If you're in the market for an automobile, we can start talking. Don't have to be right away, but it's always, if you prepare early to buy a car, to look for a car, it's the best way, frankly. You'll save yourself some money, and we can find the car you're looking for. And you can shop around, compare us to other people. We're not afraid of the competition. We've been competing, for over 50 years, and it's very competitive in our industry, extremely competitive. So we're up to the task, and we do our best to earn your goodwill. And you can ring us up here, 996-0500, 996-0500. We can talk about whatever's on your mind, automobile problems, whatever. All kinds of things happening in the news, as we're all aware. We have a call here. I think this is Philip. Philip?
Why, hello there, Ralph.
How are you?
I'm very cold.
Yeah, it is brisk out there, huh? It definitely feels like November today.
No kidding.
Although it's still kind of mild.
You know what? We're out here doing some good in the community, and that warms our hearts. That's all.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm doing well. Today's my birthday, so I guess I can't complain. I made another year, so.
Happy birthday, Ralph.
Yeah. So, I'm thankful I'm thankful for the pain my mother went through to bring me to Earth. So.
Oh, happy birthday! Many more.
Oh, thank you. So how's it going over
We've had such a successful day, and it's still continuing. You know, Ralph, you can understand this because you represent the good values in life. You know, when a community comes together and voluntarily helps to help others, it brings a sense of reward. And I'll tell you, everyone who stopped by the park today had that sense of community, love, and spirit, and it's just wonderful. It really is.
Yeah, this community has a big heart. There's no doubt about it.
And we're on our way down to the other end, so it's going to be a great year for the Hunger Commission, for the United Way, all of this food. It started this morning with the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, who by 600 turkeys. The Vietnam vets, Johnny Angel and all the posse came by. Great guys.
Yep, great guys, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All the schools are here helping out. Just so many. All of the, Ian Abreu, the newly elected city councilor, just came by. All the councilors have come by. So it's really a community effort. I love it. I really do. Even though it is kind of windy out here.
Yeah, it is windy. You've got to bundle up.
That's all. Well, I didn't dress accordingly,
Well, you have to. At your age, Phil, you have to.
That's right.
I should say our age, maybe. You could correct me as of today.
Oh, my gosh. Do you have any special plans? Or?
Well, my son's supposed to take me out to a restaurant tonight. His birthday was Thursday, so we're going to celebrate together both our birthdays. He's on the 12th, I'm on the 14th.
Would you give Andrew our best wishes as well?
Yeah. So, we're going to be celebrating, and he's taking me up to Boston to go to a restaurant up there, so a place.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Special.
Well, he's got some friends he knows up there, so.
Yeah.
We'll find out. But I'm glad to see that you're doing well over there.
Thank
and the Friendly Sons always do a yeoman's job on this event. They really do.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And all the folks who have come by with bags and boxes, to every single person, thank you so much. It's just wonderful. And we're going to be here, by the way, until 2 o'clock. So anyone who wants to drop by all means, be sure you can do that. And we'll be more than happy to give you some radio hugs. How's that, Ralph?
That sounds good. Phil, what's the best way for somebody to approach if they're going to drive up to the park and they're not too familiar with the park? How is it best for them to approach to drop off their canned goods?
Yeah, good question. Right over by the stop sign adjacent to the warming house is a table that they'll see lots of Blount food on, and you can stop right there. There'll be lots of us around there and help unload.
Okay, so right where the warming house is, so...
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a stop sign there.
Yep.
They'll see the crowd, and we'll be more than happy to give them any assistance they need.
Very good.
All right?
Very good. Thank you, Phil.
No, thank you, Ralph. Appreciate the time and appreciate what you do in the community. You're the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Happy, as we say in Greek. Are you ready?
Yep.
Kronya pola.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, there you have it. If you got a minute, stop by there. Drop off some canned goods. I'm sure you meet a lot of people you probably know. Okay, let's see. We got a caller here. A very good afternoon to you, caller.
Ralphie.
Billy.
Hey, you turned 40, huh?
Yeah, I turned 40. Yeah. That's a pleasant thought, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it, huh?
Yeah, if I turned 4, if I knew now what I should have known at 40, yeah.
You went smarter, right?
Yeah. I've avoided some pit hole. But that's what life's about. That's what life's about, is taking, that's what builds character.
Yeah.
That's what builds character. The tragedy of life, in a sense, and you meet people, and is to give up your youth and get gray hair and all the aches and pains of being on this planet for a little longer, and you don't gain wisdom. That's the trade-off. That's supposed to be the trade-off, is to gain wisdom with the older years. And unfortunately, you meet a lot of people who give up their youth and they don't gain any wisdom, and that's a tragedy. That's the tragedy. That's
got to keep slim.
I should tell Phil that's a Greek tragedy or a Shakespearean tragedy.
Yeah.
So how's Billy's world?
I'm doing good.
Good.
You see my picture in the paper?
No, I didn't. On the Veterans Parade?
Yeah, on the Veterans Parade, yeah.
Oh, you'll have to show it to me, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how they took it, but they got it me somehow.
Did you? Yeah.
In uniform, yeah. So anyway, Ralphie, what's new up there?
Well, we've been working hard, bringing in cars, and cars have been going out, and just getting them done and serviced out for people.
You have all your help put together now?
Pretty much. Actually, I could probably use another person in the technical end of it. We brought in two, but we've been busy and a little behind on getting work done and out. Especially our own work. We take care of our customers that have problems, that break down, and new people who show up, and we help them out with problems. But getting our own work, internal work out, get-readies and things for our cars we're selling has been a little problematic, which is a good thing in a sense. I mean, it's always a battle. Either you're too slow or too busy. So it's finding that happy medium and trying to,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But we've brought a few cars in.
So, listen, is there anything that would interest me up there?
Interest you? Right now, probably not. Not.
Nothing, huh?
I would say. I'm trying to think here that you like. Well, there's a few cars, but a lot of foreign stuff we've been selling.
The only foreign one I like, you know what that one is.
Yep, that Toyota.
And you haven't got any of them
that
lately.
Lexus, the Lexus 400, we have.
Yeah, that was a beauty.
Yeah.
You still got that Chrysler?
I have I have a car there. I have the Chrysler 300. I have somebody very interested in it who stopped in, who works down in Wareham. The owner lowered the price, so it's an outstanding value right now.
What's the price now?
Just $13,999. Just under $14,000, and that's cheap.
He's in my area. I might grab that sucker.
That's a steal for that kind of money. And somebody got 15,000 miles on a 2006 300C, bombed out, loaded, and it's in the wrapper, as we say in the trade.
Yep.
So, as my Rhode Island people say, although fellas in Rhode Island I do with some of the dealers over there, but the car you've seen the car in the show.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a nice. I call it a man's car. It's a real nice, serious machine.
It's not a young man's car.
No, it's or
a woman.
Well, it's more of a guy's car. I hate to say that way, but it's more of a man's car.
Yeah.
It's kind of built. It's kind of built to the way cars were in the late 50s, 60s, only modern. All the modern technologies.
Right.
But it's a full frame, not a full frame, but it's a full-size car. It's the 300C is a nice road car, real nice road car.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've seen it. Beautiful.
A lot of the state police liked them when they had them.
Yeah, well.
Now they're using Dodges. But,
getting that close to the price for me, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's a good deal. I also have, you should try out, I got a beautiful BMW, 02 BMW 5 Series, Billy. And you might want to try that out compare that to the German car, the Japanese car you drove.
How big is that car? What is it?
That's a big six, a 6-cylinder.
Straight six?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
it's amazing, huh?
Yeah, BMWs use a straight 6 5 Series. It's a 530i. It's not their biggest. It's not their smallest. It's kind of in the middle.
Oh, yeah?
It's got 85,000 miles, and it's an excellent buy for just under 9,000. So, but you should drive just to compare it to the Japanese car. See what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm. I'll be up this week. I've been very busy lately, you know.
Yeah.
Going for therapy and trying to rake leaves around here and getting things ready for winter, you know.
Yeah.
Bringing all the furniture in, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been busy as hell.
Yeah, I know. Winter's, you got to get ready for it.
Getting the snow blower ready, you know, shovels.
Yep.
Just getting ahead of time.
Yep.
So we get no surprises here.
Yep. Yeah, you won't be like...
Let's get down to business here.
Okay.
1930s and early 40s, maybe up to like 48, okay?
Okay.
They were called Art Deco cars.
Okay.
How in the heck did they get that name and when?
Wow, that's a real good question.
Yeah.
Wow, Art Deco.
Yep, Art Deco, that's what we call them, correct?
Deco. Yep.
All the 30s, early 40s, never say up to 48. After that, then they got...
Well, the Art Deco style was in the mid-30s. Started like probably around 33-ish. If I had to put a year on it, you know, it was early-ish, mid-ish, almost mid-30s, early 33.
Yeah, I think you're right, because you get up until like 32, they were still kind of boxy.
They were more 20s, still kind of...
20s were boxy, right?
Yeah, the overhang of the 20s was still into the early 30s.
Right.
Except there were some exceptions.
I think around 35, 36 started to get Art Deco.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of the manufacturers and designers of clothing and buildings and all that started to, like the Chrysler building.
Right.
It's very Art Deco when you look at it, right? The Chrysler down in New York City. That's a classical Art Deco building. The Chrysler Airstream is a classic Art Deco.
And that was around 34, 35.
Yeah, and actually it was so far, it was ahead of its time that the people...
Yeah, you're right. It was ahead of its time.
And then they adopted it later. But the car was definitely way ahead of the curve. And sometimes when you're ahead in design or even politics, sometimes you're not approved of right in the beginning. Just like the heretics now are considered more mainstream a few years down the road when, especially in the medical field.
So you figure that's how we got the name Art Deco?
Well, where it came from, well, I honestly don't know where the name was.
You're right, that's what I'm asking you.
Whoa, I don't know. You got me there. I don't know how it was derived as far as the name. I do like Art Deco type styles. I like the lamps. I like the styling of that period. Even the trains.
Yeah, even the trains.
Even the trains were very Art Deco. They were very...
I know, right?
Yeah, the trains were like bullets, very streamlined, and there was like a whole...
And even the furniture.
I guess it was derived... If you asked them for the root of the design, I would assume it to be from the aeroplane industry, because the aeroplanes were very sleek, and the new when they came out with the Boeing... well, I should say, excuse me, it was the DC-3s, I believe.
DC-3s, yeah.
That started DC-3s, if you want to get technical. I'm talking in mechanical art now, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got, you got art that you hang on a wall, and you have mechanical art that's done with, making machines, okay? And there is a lot of art to it. You can make it utilitarian, kind of like the Mao coat, the Mao communist Mao Zedong's coat was very, you could call that art to a degree.
Yeah, but you know what still is in style, Ralph?
Yeah.
Is your furniture, the wingbacks. That was from the 30s.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's
still in style.
Yeah, the wingback, the Hitchcock chairs and things like that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a lot of glass, too.
And lamps.
Oh, lamps, beautiful lamps. Absolutely gorgeous lamps.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved those lamps. I loved some of the Pearpoint lamps of the period.
Right, Pearpoint, right here in New Bedford.
Yeah, the Currier and Ives lamps that even come out earlier than that period, if you get into it. And a lot of the Depression glass, Billy.
And all the old radios from the 30s.
Yeah, the Philco Tombstone was like Art Deco.
Yep.
right? The radio, the Philsco. That was like an Art Deco radio, yeah. And the depression glass at the time, the high B and all that. If you get in, so it's all kind of like interrelated with that period. See, our decade here, I guess, in the beginning of this century. What are we going to call it? The plastic century.
Plastic, yeah.
The best-looking plastic fork, the best-looking plastic plate, the best-looking styrofoam cup.
No, but I was sitting down and I was looking around. I'm saying, Art Deco, we call it when the cars are, but where did that come from and how did it start? That's what I was wondering. So someone asked Ralphie.
Yeah, well, I have to look that up as far as the what they consider to be the beginnings.
And the ending.
Yeah, but
I think the ending would be be the late 40s. From up to 40. After that, then they got more, into the 50s and more with the wings and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, it morphed into that. But I guess by after the war, it was interrupted for sure. I think the real center of it was the 30s. I think as the 40s went on, of course the war disrupted.
Well, there was just warm over from before the war.
The what?
It was warm over cars. Right after the war, it's a warm over. I call them the warm over cars because they would just make what was left from 42 on up.
Well, now that you asked me a technical question, I delve into doing some research.
Because you take, for instance, I'm just using Buick. Take a 42 Buick and a 46 Buick exact, except for little different chrome pieces, but they're exact bodies all the way up to 48.
Okay, if you want to get, we're going to get a more serious definition here, okay?
Okay.
Art Deco is an influential visual arts design style that first appeared in France just before World War I.
Wow.
And began flourishing internationally in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Now that it's mentioned, I've seen, when you look at some of the old French movies and art, you would see some of that stylish showing up. And so the root of it is in France.
Way back then, huh?
Yeah, in France in the 20s, 30s, and of course 40s, before the popularity waned after World War II, which I can agree to that for sure. It took some time, short for the Art Deco, to take off. It's saying here, and also here it said here it goes into the International Exposition of Modern Decorative Art and Industrial Arts, which I guess in car design, airplanes, trains would be more industrial, right? Held in Paris in 1925. It is an electric style that combines the tradition of modern motifs with machine age. So that's my attachment was with the machine, machines, and it's saying it right here, machine age. Imagery and materials. Style is often characterized by rich colors, bold geometric shapes, and lavish ornamentation, which is very, very true.
Wow, well, we learned something today.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So I figured I'd put it out there and see if you knew or somebody else knew, but it started way back then. But you know something? I think some of the fancy cars of the 20s, they were a little stylish, They went in the box with, like, the Auburns and stuff like that.
Oh, God, if you look at the Duesenbergs...
I mean, they're real fancy compared to the standard car in the square box job,
Yeah, you look at the Duesenbergs and cars like that. How about the Auburn Cord?
Yes, and a tailback, Auburns and stuff like that,
The Auburn Cord was, my God, what a magnificent work of art, of metal
I guess it did go back to the 20s, but I didn't realize that. But now,
with the eccentric cars, it went back to the 20s. Not the generic cars that the masses bought.
Just standard box cars.
This is people who could afford to buy a machine that was artistically designed like that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that was the big shots back then, stars and stuff like that,
Right. Errol Flynn could go out and buy one.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Yeah.
Gary Cooper.
Right. You got it.
Those were but that was back in the 20s, and I realized that now that they were really fancy-looking cars compared to the, just the ordinary Model T and all that stuff.
But it's like looking at some of the high-end wild cars now, like the high-end Bentleys and Rolls Royces and Ferraris. The leading edge of industrial art. It's no different today. Of course, the price has gone up a lot. Well, I guess the price hasn't gone up. Our money's going down. Our money's going down. So,
yeah.
But that's a good question, Billy.
That's
Very
a good question, huh?
Yeah, good
I
question.
got to come up with some good ones once in a while.
Yeah, no, that's
But
a
I
good
really
one.
didn't know, so I'm going to call. And if Ralph didn't know, maybe someone would call in and give us a lesson.
Well, it went back to the French, are very obviously very artistic, and it started there.
Okay, so now I learned that today.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
there.
All I knew was, in the 30s and 40s, Art Deco, because I like cars, that, they just caught my eye, and they were a lot different, than the 20s.
Yeah, France has
Around
a lot of buildings like that, and of course the most, I guess, the building in America that's probably have the most notoriety is the Chrysler Building in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Would be considered probably one of the most
Exotics, yeah.
yeah, probably one of the most highly noticed examples of Art Deco styling, certainly. And that was built, 1930, 28, right before.
I guess so, some of that era, yeah.
Yeah, it was built in the late 20s, early 30s. It was finished, I think, by 30. And
that was quite a building when they opened it up.
oh God, it's still quite a interesting building to this day. The way they.
Well, Ralphie,
All
all
right,
right, buddy,
all right. Good to hear your voice, Billy.
you learned something and I learned something, huh?
Yep.
Because we were on track with the Art Deco, but where it started and all that, I didn't have enough. Just by cars, I think in 30s, but I didn't know it went way back then.
Just before World War I guess,
Is that
the
something,
leading
huh?
edge of it, and then it really started to take root after the war in the 20s.
Yeah.
And of course, the Roaring 20s in America, it was adopted here, and of course in France as well.
And then the 30s really come out to be, really started to get really more dynamic cars.
Well, the Americans, we were the industrialists of the time in the 30s. You know what I'm saying? We had quite an industrial base growing. Of course, it was hampered by the Depression, but the fact is, most people knew the American industry was, one of the largest in the world. Competed with the Germans very much, and the Brits, but the Germans were also a very industrial-based economy.
Yeah,
And of course, during the war years, it picked up, and we obviously built our industry right up. And now we've kind of potted it out around the world, mostly to Asia.
Well, all right, Ralphie, that's something that
Billy.
we got a little education today.
Yeah, we did.
All right, Ralph.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Thank you for holding. Are you there? Well, maybe not. Did we lose it? Okay. Well, you can ring us up here. 9960500, 9960500. Some facts for today. Sunrise. 6:31 this morning. 6:31. The sun came up. We lost 8 minutes from last Saturday. Sunset. This is depressing. Sunset. 4:25. 4:25. God. And we lost 7 minutes. Well, we have a little bit more to lose on that end, but not that much. But we got, we still got to go down the hill a bit more. We lost 15 minutes from last week of daylight. The tide of light is still rushing south to the southern hemisphere. And, we've got about 45 minutes left to lose before the first day of winter begins, roughly. So we're just under an hour left of daylight to go. We've lost about 5 hours and 18 minutes, thereabouts. So 5 hours of 18 minutes of our daylight is now down south in the southern hemisphere. So they're enjoying, they're in about the middle of spring, actually, right about now to them, right in the middle of spring. So and we're about in the middle of fall. So we'll be embracing our winter, and they'll be embracing their summer. High tide. Well, high tide has already taken place for the daylight part of the day. Low tide is coming at us at 2:49 p.m. So if you're into cohogging, maybe you should get out there. A little brisk out there today, but the water might be warmer than the air. So it's 2:49 is low tide. High tide is this evening at 9:38. Moonrise is taking place at 8:56 a.m. this morning, 8:56, and it'll take it sets this evening at 7:59, and I think we're past the new moon now. Yeah, so it might be a crescent moon. Might be quite an interesting evening watching the moon set. Kind of like a crescent moon is more equated to the Islamic faith. Well, they have their symbols with the crescent moon. Probably not a popular subject right now. But you can call me here at 9960500, and we can talk about whatever's bugging you. When my son was in Ireland this summer with his wife, he went to a few dealers there, and he brought me back a Suzuki catalog, which I was a Suzuki dealer for a short period of time before I got out of that end of the business with them. A good product. Their management, the new American management that they hired, left a lot to be desired. I met many of the key Japanese people from Japan who oversaw their operation over here, the American distributorship. But they hired a lot of these aggressive managers to push the development, and I guess they pushed it too far, and they had some dealers do some they were involved in activities that were frankly not right, and they tried to in other words, what some dealers will do to get to their incentives, their bonus. If the factory says to you, well, if you sell 50 cars, when you get to number 50, we'll give you a check of $200 for every car you sold, retro back to the first. So a lot of them will do all they have to do to get to that number by selling cars competitively and aggressively. But very often a lot of dealers cheat, and they'll enter what they call RDR cards. Well, they have different names for it, but RDRs like retail delivery card, and they'll put a fictitious customer's name. Well, it can't make it up, but because they want a name that's legit, so they can send recall notifications, surveys, and things like that. But a lot of dealers are putting in their relatives, live and dead, and what have you. They're managers now, and to make these sales look like they were tremendous, but and they would be reporting these exaggerated sales when in fact they never took place. And then all the house of cards all came down. There was a dealer down in Huntsville, Alabama, and I remember going to a seminar one time, and they were praising this guy about, he was selling 80 to 150 new Suzukis a month. So he's definitely in a rock star status in that industry, at least for that product line. And come to find out, it was just all basically misrepresentation and lying, and it all imploded. And so did his dealerships, because of all the lawsuits involved and the legalities where Suzuki had forwarded him money that he had illegally earned, and then consumers also sued them because they bought cars where, see, what happens is if they pre-submit the delivery card, they say the car was sold, let's say, on November 1st. Well, let's say the car's still on the lot. They just said it was sold, but it's not. Then you come in and buy the car in February 1st, and they just, make out the paperwork, put the car in your name, and they make, if they're, they're usually so schlocky, they don't even do this, but they should send a notice that you're the new owner, and so that you'd get notified in the mail for any recalls. Very often they don't do that. But the bottom line is this: the warranty started counting on November 1st, and you're out 3 months of warranty. So a lot of people were very upset by that, and it created huge problems. Anyway, it caused them to withdraw from America, ultimately, in the automobile sector. They do sell outboards, a very good outboard, and motorcycles, and dirt bikes, dirt motorcycles, and some other products as well that they make. I think ATVs. But these are some of the things that take place in the industry. But now the penalties are getting much more harsher, especially when it comes to recalls. Dealers can assume tremendous liabilities now if the consumer isn't notified in a prompt manner. So there's a lot of calls for, changes in the way the system works. But give me a call here, 9960500, 9960500. I'm going to play a tune here and do a few things I have to do here. And I'll have Matt cue it up. So Matt's been here typing away. And we got a few things we'll talk about in the car business with this cold weather coming. Now's the time to really think about having your antifreeze checked. Make sure. A lot of people neglect it. In the old days, I can remember people changing it. In the old days, they would just kind of like change it and go run along the street corner down into the sewer drain, which today is totally illegal. Of course, back then it was actually more toxic than it is today. Not that today is you wouldn't want to drink it by any means. Some of it's still pretty bad for you, but people would change it every couple of years. Today, people totally forget about it because you're told that these antifreezes last for 5 years, 10 years, 50,000, 100,000 miles, And yes, they do under the optimum situation, but people's driving habits can determine basically what the quality of that antifreeze is in your car. And it's far more than just antifreeze. It acts as a corrosion inhibitor, rust inhibitor. It acts as a lubricant to the seals, like your water pump and things like that. And when you have dirty antifreeze, the seals in your water pump, you can damage them and wear them out sooner, and then you end up with a water pump leak. And some water pumps are embedded, and you have to pull the front of the engine apart, get to the timing belt, so you get into a pretty big expense. Because very often, if you touch that deep into the engine, you might as well replace the belt and the idlers to go with it. So you get into a far more expensive situation. Some water pumps are much easier to get at, like a Jeep engines. Most of the Jeep engines, the 6 cylinders, are easy to get at, the V8s, things like that. But these are the consequences of not maintaining the car properly. And antifreeze is such a basic thing, and it's not expensive to do. We do lots of antifreeze flushes. Not to mention, we have people with certain machines, cars get older, and they come in and complain, say, my heat's not as good as it used to be. And it's I run the car's running for a half hour, and the heat's still mediocre on a cold day. And their heater cores are all clogged up because their coolant in the car is dirty. It's muddy. It's worn out. And they have scaling and rust and corrosion, and it clogs up the little heater. It's no different than the human body in many aspects. The little veins that the water go through get clogged up and get restricted, and hot water can't get through. The flow rate is reduced, and your heater is reduced. The capacity it's going to put out is reduced. It's just the way it is. So we have ways of cleaning that up, and in most cases revitalizing your heater core where you can have good, strong heat again. Now, other factors can affect the heater's performance, like the damper doors. Some of them break off the hinges, things like that. You can get to other situations. We also have situations where people remove their thermostats, or the mechanics remove their thermostats because they're complaining about the car's running too hot, and instead of dealing with the reason why the car's running too hot, they take the wrong way out, and they remove the thermostat, which compounds your problems, instead of just going in and finding out why the car's running hot, and if it needs a radiator, replace the radiator, or whatever the system is that's giving you a problem, you do it. Removing your thermostat makes the computer think the car's usually running a lot colder than it should be for over a longer period of time, and then your mileage goes down, and it's burning more fuel, and you get into all kinds of compounded problems because the computers think something else is happening because the system has been tampered with. So for every action, there is a reaction, if you will. But this is the time to do it. You can give Ulysses a call. We can check your antifreeze. We do check it for you at no charge to let you know the strength of it, and if it's doing what it should do, at least on the freezing side. We can visually inspect it and get a good idea of what the condition of it is. And factors like your year of the car, and the mileage of the car make a big difference, okay, as far as its life. But it's probably one of the most neglected items. That and looking at your tires now for winter. We offer some great tire sales. In fact, I got a note here. We got a sale going on now you can get 4 new tires for just under $300. Well, let's call it $300 because it's just about $300. It's a penny short at $299.99. 4 new tires, mounted balance, including mounting and balance and sale tax. So that's an outstanding value, and they have a good warranty on them as well. I'll find my note maybe during the break. I can give you more of a description, but we do have some terrific tire buys. And that's 4 new tires. That's nearly the price of used tires. So why would you want to buy used tires when you get 4 new tires if this size fits your car? Okay, and they fit most Toyotas and Hondas and smaller. They're not going to fit a Ford Expedition. Those are much larger tires. That's obvious. Not for that money. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Okay. It's always good to hear a little bit of that kind of music, huh? Let's see what we got here. Get the volume up. Artie Shaw did some great work back in the day. I got an interesting letter here, or actually it was a fax. And I'm sure Well, people out there with fax machines and offices probably get the same letter maybe. I don't know where they get these addresses, these numbers, and these emails, but I'll give Matt a copy here. You can go along with me, Matt. You can read these. Have you seen those kind of letters, Matt?
No.
Okay, this is from Mr. Jeffrey Samkio. From Jeffrey Samkio. Attention, President, Chief Executive Officer. With due respect, trust, and humanity, I write you this proposal. I found your contact while I was doing a private researching in for a reliable and capable foreign partner that will assist my family. I am Mr. Jeffrey Samkio, the son of the late Mr. Vincent A. Samkio, who was a member of the Farmers Cooperative in Zimbabwe. My father was among the few rich black farmers that were murdered in cold blood by President Robert Mugabe administration during the land dispute that just happened in Zimbabwe. After the death of my father, we decided to move out of Zimbabwe to South Africa for our inheritance, which was deposited by my late father in a security company in the amount involving U.S. $15 million. And they have 15 million put in numerically as well as in brackets, spelt out as 15 million United States dollars, close brackets. This money was made for purchasing of machinery, chemicals for our new farm establishment in Swaziland. We are presently living in South Africa as refugees, asylum seeker, and the law of the Republic of South Africa does not permit us to operate or open any bank account here in South Africa or be involved in any financial transaction because of our refugee status. That is why we're asking you to help us invest our inheritance in your country for our new future. We are ready to offer you 35% of the total amount for the inconvenience and your time that this may cause you, while 5% will be mapped out for any expenses that might occur during the process of the transfer. The remaining 60% will be for our investment in your country or any other part of the world you decide. We will appreciate your quick response because we need to leave this country soonest. Thanks, and God bless, Mr. Jeffrey Samkio. There you have it.
Right.
So now I have an emailer here. I can email him, jeffreysamiko@hotmail.com, or you can call him up, or you can fax him, I guess. This is the fax number at 2786-606-2688. This is a confidential request, by the way. So, but he's going to tell you, or they're going to tell you, that they need $10,000 to go see these people.
Right.
To get the money, and if you can wire them, this will start the process.
I'm surprised they're doing this via fax.
Well, they send emails.
It used to be email.
Yeah, they do both. I've gotten both. This one happened to come in, and I said, gee, how many other people out there with email or fax machine get these kind of letters? And, they send these out on a fairly regular basis. Most of them come out of Nigeria. These scams, a tremendous amount of Nigeria. The corruption and dishonesty out of Nigeria is appalling, but, I should say not surprising, but it's just the country's very corrupt. But this one here, this is the first I've seen out of Zimbabwe. Now, for those of you who've been around long enough and know your geography, Zimbabwe was what country before it was taken over? Or when they threw out basically the whites running the country. What was the country called? Does anyone recall? Little geography question out there without looking it up in a computer and cheating. Okay. But this is some of the scams that are out there, and they're everywhere. They're international, they're local, I don't know, this time of year seems to bring them out. But there you have it. Maybe someone else out there has received one of these or a similar letter. As I mentioned, most of them are from Nigeria that come out. For those of you who have any Kia, Kia is recalling the 256,000 souls for steering problem. Sounds kind of serious, doesn't it? Steering problem. Kia is recalling more than 256,000 sold compact SUVs in the U.S. because of a steering could fail. Well, that's not too bad. Steering could fail. The recall covers certain sols from 2014 through 2016, so that's a fairly long production run. I guess losing your steering is could ruin your day for sure. Kia says in documents filed with the government that the adhesive that holds the steering gear parts together may not be strong enough, and the parts can separate. That can cause loss of steering, increasing the risk of a crash. Kia found the problem after getting warranty reports from dealers. The company says no crashes or injuries have been reported. Dealers will inspect and replace the steering gear plug if necessary. They will also install a bolt for additional reinforcement. The recall is expected to start December 22nd. Well, that leaves you about 3 weeks to pay attention when you're driving, that's for sure, if you're driving one of those. That's interesting. It says here that the adhesive that holds the steering gear parts together may not be strong enough, and the parts can separate. Gee, I'm trying to think of what adhesive they'd use to hold steering gear parts together. Mostly everything is steel and bolted and castle nut with a cotter pin going through it. That's I don't know. I have to see how they're putting that car together to have that kind of problem. Well, there you have it. If you have one of those cars, you probably definitely want to, get that looked at. Of course, they're not going to get it fixed until the first week of December, I think, at the earliest, right? Well, no. The recall is expected to start on December 22nd, right before Christmas. So you got a little bit of time. Give us a call here, 996-0500. We can talk about whatever's on your mind. I started to talk about coolant, and I neglected to mention for you do-it-yourselfers out there. If you look at your coolant bottle of your car, and if it looks oily and dirty, that's usually a sign of something more serious going on in your engine, and it's a sign of possible head gasket leakage. So if your coolant bottle is real muddy and dirty looking, with a lot of scum oil on the top, that's a sign of a much deeper problem, and it should be checked professionally, unless you know what you're doing. It's a sign of very often head gasket or possibly intake manifold gaskets. A lot of GM cars have experienced that problem, and other brands as well, but GM had a real bad run with that for several years across models. But in some of those bottles, they're usually translucent, so you can see the fluid in it. But it's not clear. But if they're dirty and muddy, you can usually see that, especially when you pop the cover and you look inside the overflow bottle. And if it's really oily and muddy, then you probably have a much more serious situation going on, and it should be checked. A lot of people let things fester, and then you end up spending more money, and then we have people complain to us. So, okay, let's see, we're out of time. We'll catch you on the next hour after the news. We'll be back.
you smiled at me, I heard a melody. It haunted me from the start. Something inside of me started a symphony. Zing went the strings of my heart. 'Twas like a breath of spring. I heard a robin sing about a nest set apart. All nature seemed to be in perfect harmony. Zing went the strings of my heart. Your eyes made sky seem blue again. What else could I do again but keep repeating through again? I love you, love you. I still recall the thrill. I guess I always will. I hope we'll never depart. Here with your lips to mine, a rhapsody divine. Zing went the strings of my heart.
Okay, we're back for a second hour of All About Cars. My name is Ralph Medeiros. I own and operate Ralph's Auto Center with my son Andrew in the north end of New Bedford on Church Street, 867 Church Street. We're just off exit 5 off of Route 140. No stop signs, no traffic lights. Easy to get into the city and out of the city. And whether you're coming anywhere in the town, surrounding towns, right off 195, head up off of 195, just take 140 north. You're about 3 miles away from exit 5. Head north and take the Church Street Phillips Road exit. Bear right onto Church Street, and there you are. Head down the road just over a half mile, just past Regal House and Webb Plumbing and Heating and Dollar General, and Ralph's is right next door, directly opposite of New Bedford Vocational's faculty entrance. And the service entrance is there. And there we have many used cars to choose from. We stay focused between $4,000 and $15,000. We do sell cars that cost considerably more. If you want one, we certainly can procure one for you. We bring cars in for people all the time. And that's why it's wise to plan. Smart people, you look around, you see the dealers. You can go online if you have access and get an idea on prices. But some of these big dealers, now they're all turning into chains, the new car dealers. Many of them own 15, 30, 40, 50 stores, 100 stores, 200, even more. And they're big chains, and they're pretty much, they're big operations. There's no, we're talking serious multi-million dollar investments here. And they have a big overhead, a big nut to crack. So their prices tend to be a lot stronger. And we can sell you many of those same cars for substantially less. We don't have the operating overhead that they do. And plus, we're a good judge of horseflesh. Certainly no less a better judge than they are in buying good quality cars. And we can bring these cars into you and save you thousands over some of these big operations that are in expensive rent areas, if you will. And they have expensive management that they have to support, and advertising, and it's just a big operation, period. And it's they have expenses to meet, and it's reflected in their prices. So we can be very competitive against them for people who do their homework and planning, and you don't get, you see the first car you look at, or the second car, you get all emotional, and you're going to be writing a fat check or paying a big fat monthly payment. So if you if you're prudent and you're looking for value, then you should come in and see myself or Andrew, my son Andrew, and consult with us as to your thoughts, and if you have a trade, and if you're going to trade it in and get an idea on its value, and we can start to work. And if you like the way we do business, then we continue the conversation. But we've saved a lot of people a lot of money, and we find the cars you're looking for, good, clean, low mileage cars, irregardless of the make and the model, and we stay to the mission of what you want to spend in your budget. And then we work with you in arranging financing, generally with the local credit unions here, like New Bedford Credit Union, Southern Mass Credit Union, and others. But those two do a good job in this community. and others. We have other banking facilities depending on your credit score and the stage you're at in life if you're rebuilding your credit. So we work with you in trying to, find the best way for you to get into good quality transportation at the least amount of expense. Okay, kind of opposite of what a lot of places, they just want to know when you walk into a lot of dealerships. Asking you your name is just a basic courtesy that they're forced to do. What they really want to know is your social security number, to run your credit history, to see how you're rated, and then they can structure the deal accordingly to their advantage, to get the highest payment out of you, and they can make the largest gross. So they're not necessarily, some of these stores are not necessarily working in your interests, okay? We think differently. We think if we work for your interests, we'll prosper too, because you'll decide to do business with us. So we have a sincere interest to try to deliver the value to you and be upfront and honest in our transactions and as transparent as humanly possible, so that there's no misunderstandings or they're minimized to a negligible degree. And we'll answer any questions, and we're accessible, myself or my son or Tammy or Ulysses in the service department. And I think that's what separates us from the others. We kind of do business the old-fashioned way, which is getting to be harder to find out there for any service you're looking for. Everything's, when you call a place now, everything's automated. And, pick the language you want. You want it in Spanish or English, and then you go on from there, and then inevitably you're leaving voicemail to somebody. And you can't reach the person, or they don't get back to you. That's the way things are today. All these big companies, you're calling over to India or Philippines or who knows where, and it's just the way the world works. It's become so impersonal, and now they have all this artificial intelligence. If you've noticed, I get infuriated sometimes. I get my cell phone. I get these phone calls from these computer bots. And I had a woman call me yesterday. Say, "Oh, how you doing there today? I want to talk to you about, I think, security systems. And we have a special going on." I told her, "Get lost." She says, and the computer, it was a woman, and they come across like it's really hard to tell sometimes. And I told him, "Get lost." And then the next voice comes in, another computer voice says, "We'll take you off our do not call list." Now, I was polite in saying "get lost." I could have used a little more colorful language, but I didn't. And I guess it was more respectful to me and said it, and it's going to remove me from their do not call list. But they have this artificial intelligence, these phones now, or these systems call you. And they're interacting more and more with people, and very often you don't even know it. So this is where we're heading. So not only are cars going to be self-driving, we have a lot of, you're going to think you're talking to a human when in fact you're not. And it's programmed to answer your questions and sound very human-like and almost seamless. And a lot of people will be fooled. They won't be aware of it. So you have to be aware of it. It's crazy, huh, how the world's going. Anyway, you can call me here, 9960500, 9960500. We can talk about whatever's on your mind. If you're in the market or looking around at cars today, take a ride by and see Andrew, and possibly my brother David's there as well, and talk to him. I mean, we don't necessarily expect you to buy a car today, but we can start the conversation. And if you have a service problem, you can talk to us. Ulysses will be back in there Monday, and give him a call in the service department. He's very good, very honest, and we'll get you patched up on the road, or if someone you know is experiencing problems and they're not happy with the way it's going. We meet some people who they go over here for an oil change, they go over there for something else, they go over there for a tire, and they have no one place they service with on a regular basis, and very often their car is very ill-maintained, okay, because they're always looking for the cheapest possible solution, and nothing gets done right. So that's another issue you got to think about sometimes, that some of these people out there that work on these cars are in the word, they're hackers, and you got to be careful where it's no different than when you go for an operation. You don't want a hacker for a surgeon, right? To cut you open. At least I wouldn't. And I'm sure you don't want a hacker working on your car as well when he repairs it. Speaking about getting hacked here, there's another issue coming our way in the car marketing. Well, we've got a caller here. Let's take the call, I guess, before I get into this conversation here. Hi, very good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Just jumping in there to wish you many more.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
And hopefully everything will be great. Have a great day.
Yeah, I kind of reflect on my birthday about my mom, who had to bear the pain to bring me to this world.
Uh-huh.
And bear the pain of raising me. Because I have to admit, I wasn't the easiest of all the boys. She had 4 of us, 4 boys, and God rest her soul, I think I was probably the most problematic, reflecting back now all these years. So I have to say, I think of her fondly on my birthday, sincerely. So, but I do appreciate you bringing it up.
No problem.
Yeah, I do appreciate that.
All right. You have a good day.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. That's very nice of her. General Motors here. This is kind of like this is a major event that may take place in the auto industry, and it's kind of like the camel's nose under the tent, if you will. Another one of these examples, and it's a precursor to this TPP. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, okay, which most people know nothing about, including our congressmen, senators, and representatives at all levels of our governmental totem pole. They haven't really done much work on it, research. I would hope our senators would have some better understanding, as well as our congressional delegation at the federal level. But even there, they sometimes lack the depth of knowledge of what's happening here. And even if they were against it, very often the money, the forces are so smothering that their being against it is just one of very few voices that go against the tide of money that floods in to make sure that these things go the way these transnational corporations want it to go, and banks as well. And this is the reality, folks. And if you think otherwise, then you're just misinformed. But anyway, this is a kind of an example of this that's starting. And I'm not against free trade. I don't want to let that be a misnomer out there that I'm against free trade, because I'm not. But I'll get into this article here in a minute. Oh, the caller hang up. Okay. Well, call me back if you like. General Motors is considering importing the Buick Envision mid-size SUV to the U.S. from China, as it weighs the public backlash it may face, according to a source familiar with the automaker's product plans. The Wall Street Journal reported Thursday that GM plans early next year to begin selling mid-size Envision in the U.S. sourced from China. Now, the Envision is kind of like a smallish SUV, but it's totally built in China now. Buick spokeswoman Kelly Castano said in an email Thursday that the brand would not comment on product speculation. Jeff Schuster, Senior Vice President for Forecasting for LMC Automotive, said according to his forecast, General Motors will begin importing the Envision in early spring of 2016 and could sell 30,000 a year in the U.S. Another source with knowledge of GM's plans wished to remain anonymous because they have not yet been shared publicly, said the automaker has plans to begin importing the Envision from China early next year, and that it's planning to sell about 40,000 vehicles a year in the U.S. If Buick were to import the Envision, it would mark the first time a U.S. automaker has imported a car from China. Volvo Car Corp this year began exporting a China-made vehicle, the S60 inscription sedan, to the U.S. Okay, so initially Volvo had mentioned that they weren't going to build Chinese cars and send them to the States or to Europe, but the automaker Volvo is also importing this year, beginning exporting a China-made vehicle, the S60 inscription sedan, to the U.S., which is a kind of like a mid-sized sedan. It's not their smallest, it's not their largest. It's a decent-sized car. Schuster said there could potentially be some concerns by customers about the quality of the China-built vehicle. But he said those concerns would be largely unfounded. I think consumers, generally speaking, have become more educated that it's a global market, Schuster said. This is GM's well-established with a global operation and newer factories. The quality standards they adhere to for the products like Buick are going to be at a very high level. Well, that being said, Buicks are extremely popular in China. It's probably the most popular American brand, and they're considered a fairly high-status car over there. One of the reasons is the last emperor of China drove a Buick at the turn of the last century. So they've always had a liking for Buick automobiles, and frankly, Buick sells more cars in China than they do in America. Or General Motors sells more Buicks in China than they do in America. So this is some of the, information behind the scenes. The Buick launched the Envision, a slotted between the subcompact Encore and the larger Enclave SUVs in the fall of 2014 in China. Sales of the Envision have been strong in China since the popularity of the SUV helped Buick sales in October in China to raise 42% year over year and set a record of more than 100,000 sales a month for the first time. Through October this year, Buick has sold more than 108,000 Envisions SUVs in China. Now, the UAW in August said it planned to address during their contract negotiations with the automaker speculation that GM is considering importing Buick SUVs to the U.S. from China. UAW Vice President Cindy Estrada, who heads the union's GM department, said at the time Envision should be made in the U.S. by a workforce that saved GM in the darkest time, and the UAW members that intend to address this issue in contract talks. Well, yeah, it was We the People. It was called at the time it was GM Motors. It was like U.S. Motors, right? It was Government Motors for GM, Government Motors, because We the People did save them from their poor management in the past, okay? I mean, atrocious management. That's what broke the company. To Ford's credit, they were able to do it and raise capital in the private market. General Motors went broke and had to come to We the People, as did many of the banks. Okay, so Joe hit the ragman, UADS, usually ends up paying and bailing out these people. The UAW spokesman said Thursday that the Estrada's statement from August still stands. Buick currently offers 5 vehicles, 2 SUVs, 3 sedans in the U.S. lineup, and it will add the Casada. Am I saying that right? I broke my other glasses. I gotta get a new pair of glasses here. Cascada. Almost sounds like a chair in Portuguese, no? Convertible, built in Europe early in 2016. Cop Buick in Rockville Center, New York, says the Envision is coming to America next year. The dealership on its website cites Buick's North America as its source. Craig Garber, a sales consultant at the dealership, said the Envision is coming. Some Buick dealers say they would be happy to have more vehicles to sell customers. If they bring it, we'll sell it, said Russ Shelton, owner of Shelton Buick in Rochester Hills. Buick sales are down 1.9% year-to-date through October to 186,387. Sales of the Encore are up 35.7% year-to-date through October, while the Enclave sales are up 1.7%. Buick would benefit from having a product that size in the market, said Stephanie Breenley, senior analyst for Americas for forecasting at firm at HIS Automotive. It's a product that can give Buick a healthy volume and a little boost. So there you have it. That's the battle between the lines with these, in importation. But it would be a major change in automotive marketing in this country. Not that we haven't had imports come in from other countries. For sure we have. But, Volvo is such a low volume segment. I mean, they're well under 100,000 sales a year in America. Volvo is now owned by Chery Motor Group, a Chinese-based company. They bought it from, I think it was from Ford. They bought it from. Now they're trying to rebuild the Volvo brand. I can't believe they're going to rebuild the Volvo brand, a Swedish car known for quite high standards and safety as well. Build them all in China and sell them here, and still show a beautiful Swedish blonde and driving the car, marketing it as a Swedish product. I don't know. It's going to be... You can see how things get blurry here, right, when we go global. I can see cars being built in the countries they're being sold in. Chinese insist on that. If you and I were to go open an automotive factory in China and open up a new brand, be that what it may, in China we'd have to take a partner. They wouldn't allow you to come in and be a wholly owned subsidiary. Just like GM has a partner. This is where they learn the technology, you share the technology. And actually GM had issues selling Saab for that very reason. They wouldn't sell it to another Chinese company and wanted to buy Saab because GM was afraid that they would, take advantage of their proprietary technology. And they were afraid of it being stolen and copied, which the Chinese have done. And the Japanese have done it. And we did it with the Brits going back, 125, 150 years ago. So nothing new here, okay? Everybody does it. Kind of plagiarizes. Be it in machines, in music, or in writing, or doing your homework. But these are some of the things to think about as we go forward. You can bet the GM's lobbyists, along with the United States Chamber of Commerce, they're doing all they can to see these things continue. And like I said, I'm not against international trade. But I think if we look at what's taken place in the last 40 years in particular, last 30, most assuredly, we've parted out our country here, and we've transferred millions of jobs to China and Mexico. And look around what's happening to our communities here, right? I mean, we need, look at all the, the need out there because of lack of economic opportunity, and, some people, some of these huge corporations benefit very greatly from this international trade. But Main Street doesn't, like cities like New Bedford and other communities. So, and I think, how do you stop it? You're going to legislate this? You're going to talk to your congressman like he's going to listen to you? Or your senator? When they're being drowned in all kinds of incentives and money? It's not going to happen. The game is bought. So how do you influence the market? How do you influence it? By being informed when you buy something. And if you see something from a country you don't like, you don't buy it. Or you refuse to buy it. Or you find an alternative. Or you make do with what you have. And you vote with your dollars. That's about the only thing they pay attention to in their final analysis. But see, most people are too stupid to figure this out. They don't even know where their shoes come from, where their clothing comes from, where their food comes from. They don't know. And in some respects, they're not being told, we had a law that Congress passed that they had to label meat where it came from. U.S., Canadian, Argentine, China, wherever they grew the beef or the chicken or whatever you were eating in meat was supposed to be labeled. Well, that was found to be illegal under the World WTO, the World Trade Organization rules, because we've given up sovereignty in labeling our meat, so Congress had to rescind it. See how we've lost these things? And they continue. And this TPP is another classic example, which you and I can't see until after they sign it 90 days after. And even then, this is the game. This is the game. And that's why, there's big money behind this. And you got this country here. I mean, look what's happening. Look at our cities. Detroit was once a mighty powerful city. Now, Detroit went bankrupt for billions, but that was also because of poor management. It was, it's been in charge, frankly, by the Democrats for years. They broke the city. They just lavished everything, and it just money left, people left, the city contracted, and the results is the bankruptcy that took place, and a lot of people lost their shirt doing business with the city of Detroit, and now it's starting to reinvent itself. But and it's not alone. Puerto Rico is another example. That's so things self-correct in the long run. You just got to make sure you don't get hurt, that you're not hurt with these changes in our economy. And this is why this election coming up is critical to the future of this country. And I'm not going to give any predictions, but it is critical. I just think that if the Buick comes in, they're already moving a lot of compact, subcompact car assembly American brands and foreign to Mexico, because actually Mexico is even cheaper than China. China's costs have been rising, and to keep these cars more competitive in the market, they're shipping them. They're going to be building like the small Ford Focus and the smaller ones in Mexico or Brazil, where the labor costs are substantially less than here in America, and they can, be more competitive in price because they're not paying to help as much, and we kind of melt down that way. But see, now if we went to implement any tariffs, which would raise the cost to you and me, to protect these jobs, you get into different thoughts as far as it's not really in the theme of Austrian economics. But I think we've decapitalized our industries out of this country way beyond the point of keeping our own social peace in this country. Okay, when you have nothing else to lose, you lose it, and I think a lot of people will be losing it, and you're going to see a lot of insurrection, I'm afraid, if we don't give people opportunity to get ahead. And sometimes it takes some drastic action to see that, because obviously our senior policymakers and politicians aren't really doing a good job in doing that, and in our interest, that the common good, if you will. Okay, the government essentially is supposed to watch out for the welfare of citizens, us, the citizens, the citizens' welfare, instead of basically offering welfare to everybody. It's very difficult to prosper, and it's just difficult for people, working people, small business people, to survive with these ever-increasing taxes, regulations. It's it's going, it's become, not the country of the free, it's the country of the fee, F-E-E. Everything's a fee, everything's a charge, and it keeps you down. And this is what's happening out there. Unless you're one of the elites, okay, if you're in the system and you're doing quite well, very good to you. And they don't feel the pain. They don't feel the rope in their shoulder to pull the wagon, so to speak, metaphorically. Anyway, give me a call here, 996-0500, 996-0500. We can talk about what's on your mind. By the way, for Christmas, you ought to consider maybe buying yourself or your loved one or your significant other a radio. I have radios in stock. I'm an Automorg, and I got to order them like real soon because I'm kind of low. They start at $60 up for a real super little transistor radio, but this transistor radio is like a modern version of the ones in the 60s. It has a little computer chip in it and has preset buttons. It has the weather band. Comes with a nice set of headphones. Has a clock in it, an alarm. It's easy to operate. You don't need a college degree doesn't mean much these days, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. It's very simple to use and to set up, and I can set up initially for you. It runs on 2 AA batteries, which is a plus compared to the old 9 volts, which are a pain in the butt. The AA's are cheap and readily available, and they last a long time. I use one practically every day. I love it. They make a tabletop. If you like an analog, a good, solid tabletop radio, a lot of you people out there listening to one right now, $75. That's delivered, and it's a good little tabletop. They make a shortwave, which goes about 110. Well, let me rephrase that. It's an AM/FM, and it has the shortwave band. It's one step up from the analog. It's a digital readout. Nice radio for the money. A very good radio. And their flagship radio is the C Crane 2, which sells, on their website, they're substantially more. All these prices I'm quoting you, what we sell them for, we buy them by the cases. And you can buy their top of the line model for just under $150. On their website, it's going to cost you, I think, about a $185, $188 delivered, because the shipping's like $15 per radio on the box, on the larger radios, the tabletops. So they represent excellent value. Their flagship radio is a top-of-the-line radio. I love mine. It's one of my finest radios. It's probably one of the best radios you're going to buy, certainly for under $250. Unfortunately, it's made in China, but there's no choice to that matter. The Japanese used to make a lot of nice, fine radios. They no longer build many other than high-end communications radios in two-ways in Japan now. Most of them are built in China. They've acquired pretty much all the means of manufacturing throughout the world, other than the most expensive communication devices, which will be built in Japan and these United States, which is mostly for the military and commercial applications. But these radios represent excellent value if you want to upgrade, and you'll get a lot of stations at night. AM can be very problematic. I get calls all the time, people saying, I don't get many stations, I got this, I got noise. Well, AM band, you're getting kind of low in the frequencies, picks up a lot of noise, okay? So if you have a lightning storm, as an example, or if you have a dimmer in your house, like a dimmer switch, and that's set, like some people don't shut them off, they have them set like real low where the light's not on, but the dimmer is still on, will create a lot of RFI, radio frequency interference, and those have to be off. And other devices in your house can create tremendous interference. I've had several customers who've had come to me and complain about interference in the radios, and I say, well, put it on batteries, walk around the house, walk outside, and very often they find that they have a dirty transformer in front of their house or down the street a little bit, and it's putting out all kinds of RFI, radio frequency interference, and the power company is supposed to correct that because it's interfering with your communications, and they will correct it. You've got to push them a little bit, but they will correct it. So that's another issue that comes up. So there's other ways of dealing with it. Then they have modified antennas, all kinds of things. But AM can be a little more difficult, and that's why a lot of people kind of like FM because it's clearer and louder. But AM does have the distance at night when you have skip. And a lot of these people get radio stations out of Canada, WWVA. I've had people listen to Atlanta, Georgia radio stations. I mean, with the better radios that we sell. So think about that for Christmas. Also, another thing you might want to consider with winter right around the corner is undercoating your car or truck. Undercoating starts as low as $200 for the fluid film we put on, which is kind of like a military cosmoline. And then we have the more serious undercoating, which runs north of $400, putting a more permanent petroleum-based like asphalt spray, if you will, that's flexible, doesn't get hard and brittle in the winter, and is really recommended for long-term hard use on trucks, things like that, to really protect it. Cars run a little less. Trucks are more complicated, take more material, much more work to do. But the money you spend for that, while it may seem expensive, it doesn't even come compared to the cost of fixing rust on your frame or your sheet metal of your vehicle underneath the truck. Trucks, we have more problems with rust and corrosion on frames, and undercoating is critical if you plan on keeping your vehicle, your truck or car, for more than 3 years and you get out in the winter. Especially trucks or vehicles where you have a frame and the body's mounted to the frame. It's probably the best investment you can make to keep your vehicle in good shape and to minimize corrosion and rust, which is a major, major problem. We deal with a lot of customers with rusted suspension, gas filler-necks rotting out and leaking fuel, or your evap light comes on, all kinds of things like that. So corrosion and rust is something, if you have a nice vehicle and you want to minimize it, then you should see us about undercoating. And we can consult with you on that and the type of vehicle you have to do the job right. And I've got to take this call. We've got Phil here. Philippe.
Hello there, birthday boy.
Yeah, birthday boy. How goes the battle, my friend?
What's that?
How goes the battle?
Well, it is going well, thank God. When you were talking about a lot of the people in need, well,
Yep.
This is what this cause is for. It fills up our local pantries for people in need, Ralph.
Phil, and I understand the need, and it certainly exists. And believe me, I have the compassion and for that understanding, but it concerns me that we're not building our economy so that you and I should be talking about the need for employing people. There's no, there's more jobs than there are people kind of deal instead of the other way around.
You and I align. We fly in alignment when it comes to that philosophy, my friend.
Yep. But right now we have the need that's real.
Well, that's it. We have to be concerned about the moment, and the moment is there are more people this year in need of, feeding their families, and that's what this whole effort does. Is local families are given free foods in the pantries through the United Way and the Hunger Commission, and so we help out our local families. And you have to, regardless of where we are politically, when the children are at stake here, we need to take care of our local children and families, and so that's what this does.
Yeah, no, I agree. You got to have the compassion and empathy to see what's, when you look around, it's obvious. I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was also interesting to hear you talk about your radios.
Yeah, radios. Yeah.
When I was nationally syndicated, Ralph, one of my listeners was Mr. Crane.
Oh, wow. Bob Crane, yeah, I know Bobby Crane.
So he'd calling because he would listen to me on my San Diego affiliate.
Wow.
That was a 50,000-watt affiliate, KFMB. And he would be up there in the mountains picking me up on his radio. So I'd have him on the show a few times, actually, to talk about his radios.
Yep. No, he's done a great job. He's brought AM radio, brought back a quality line of radios.
Oh, absolutely, and you're so right. They are so top quality. He doesn't cut around any corners.
Nope.
Nope.
So has your can line made a corner yet? Or?
Good segue.
Have you cut the corner on your can line yet? Made another turn?
We're heading towards home, my friend. We've turned the corner, and we're heading towards home. We'll be here for another 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
But it was a very successful day. The community turned out, and that is the main part of this. It's not about, it's really about the movement itself of coming together, and wow, what a beautiful day we had for that.
Yep. No, you have. That's actually a nice day. Brisk, but nice.
Yeah. The wind was a little bit tough.
Oh, it still is. I see the windmill here is turning right along here. And you see this windmill a lot more than I do, so...
Yeah.
And the blades...
I just wanted to say thank you, Ralph, for allowing us to share some of this good news on your program that I absolutely love.
Nope, I have absolutely no problem in supporting the cause, truly.
I know it. Yeah. You and your family are just wonderful treasures in our community. And aside from being compassionate people yourselves, by the way, I'm a big fan of the Ralph Medeiros show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Phil. Coming from you, I appreciate that. You
bet, my friend. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Thanks again, and thanks to the community for turning out.
No, it's a great community. I mean, Phil, and I say this heart to heart to you, and you understand. I meet a lot of people, and I meet some suburbanite people, and they always knock the city. I meet some quality people in this city, and I grew up here, went to school here, and I love this city. I'm invested in this city,
right?
And I meet some quality people of all ages, and I think if we just get rid of that 2-3%, I should rephrase that. I can't say get rid of, right? But try to rehabilitate that 2 to 3%, whatever means it takes to rehabilitate them. We can really, and not just for this community, but throughout the country. This community, we can be looking at a very bright future.
You know what reminds me of that is last night during all of this insanity that went on in Paris.
Yep.
The one saving silver lining that I saw was a mass of about 1,000 people singing the French national anthem in unison.
Wow.
It brought tears to my eyes because what they were saying is that the spirit of goodness will always overcome that of negativity.
I agree with you. And I have that queued up, and I'm going to read the verses in English. Yeah, that's a good segue for you.
All right, Ralph. God bless
Yeah.
you, and thanks again, buddy.
Thank you. Yep.
You
Bye-bye.
betcha. Happy birthday.
No, thank you, Phil. Bye-bye. Okay. We've got a caller here. Very good afternoon to you, caller.
Good afternoon.
Hey. Oh,
Happy
great.
birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's also my birthday. That's why I called you.
Oh, happy birthday then. Yeah. So good. So we're both...
That's all. That's all I wanted. Maybe I'm a lot older than you, but who knows?
Well, I'm between 60 and 65, so...
Well, I'm 72 today.
Okay. Well, God bless you.
Well, thank you,
But
sir.
I'm disappointed in one. I'm disappointed in one aspect. Prince Charles is his birthday today, and I haven't received a call from him yet. Yeah, he hasn't called me. Today's his birthday as well, and we call each other, but I haven't received his call this year. So
Well,
I'm
you
disappointed.
just keep on talking, and he may call.
I'm disappointed that his executive secretary hasn't said, "Have you called that lad over there in New Bedford, Ralph Medeiros, and wish him a happy birthday today?"
All righty then.
All right.
You have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Very good. Some real good people out there. Okay. I'm going to play this tune here. Matt's had it queued up for a while, Matt, and we're running a clock out. I'm going to play, Phil had mentioned it. This is the French national anthem, and it's sung in French, of course. But I'm going to read the words and listen to the words of the national anthem here. Okay? If Matt, I got to cue with you so I can read the words, right? Kind of do this. Okay. Go. Okay. Here we go. I'm not going though. Why is not my computer's not going? Okay. Okay. The bloody banner, do you hear in the countryside? They come up to our arms to slit the throats of our wives and sons. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. Sacred love of the homeland, lead, support our avenging arms. Freedom, beloved, freedom. Fight with your defenders. Fight with your defenders. Under our flags that the victor run up to your ancient mails. That enemy expiring. See your triumph and our glory. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. Tremble, tyrants, and you traitors. The shame of all parties. We will finally receive their prize. We will finally receive their prize. Everyone becomes a soldier to combat you. They fall, our young heroes. The earth produces new ones. Against you, all ready to fight. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. To arms, citizens. Form your battalions. Let's march. Let's march. So that the impure blood should water the furrows of our fields. Okay, there you have it. Sorry, in the beginning my computer was not synced with the board's computer here, so I lost the first few seconds of the... I don't know what happened. Matt, technical difficulties on my side. Very good afternoon to you, caller. Are you there?
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
I just have to say I've been listening all afternoon,
Yep.
and I have to very much agree with the American and French sense of patriotism.
Yeah.
They supported us way back when against the English.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they also came to our aid when the Twin Towers went down.
Absolutely they did.
Yeah.
And this just strikes me as extremely tragic. I'm kind of in the middle of crying, so excuse me.
Well, but don't lose... Listen, you can absolutely have the emotion and compassion and empathy for what's taken place. But we must remember that we don't want to lose, and at least I don't want to lose, and I'm sure I'm sure you don't, and many other people, I don't want to lose any more civil liberties and financial freedoms in the pretense of making me safe.
Correct.
And having more restrictive laws and just more intervention by government and security in the name of protecting us. We're spending over $500 billion, way over that, in security for our military, and not counting NSA, CIA, and all the other ops that they have going on. And if we can't feel safe with all these investments, something's wrong.
Absolutely.
And we're losing too many of our individual freedoms. Every time you go to the airport, you get belt up and everything else. They go right through. Yep. I mean, everywhere you do, pretty soon it'll be in your car, in the bus. Everywhere you go, it's going to be, where's your papers?
It's pervasive.
Yeah, and you will need papers like they did in Nazi Germany to travel.
Yes.
And if your documents aren't in order,
that is frightening.
Yeah, and just like now, you can't go to Canada, you can't come back to the United States without a passport.
Yep, my grandkids asked me the other day, and I said, nope, we need passports.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, you look at our loss of our civil liberties in the name of security. In the name of security, and I'm not making light of security. Please don't misunderstand me.
Oh, neither am I.
But they scare us. They use these events to scare us and corral us into giving up more of our liberties, and we've given up way too many in the last 30 years. And these SOBs, and through executive orders, the presidents, and that goes for the present guy we got there now, and the previous one as well. They continue to pass these presidential edicts and congressional measures to restrict us, and most Americans, we're just, I don't know, must be the genetically modified food, because
I think so.
we're dumbing down. But I do thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for hearing. Yep. Thank you for calling. Bye-bye. Very good afternoon to you, caller. You got about a minute.
I don't need a minute.
Go ahead.
48 degrees. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Oh, gee, that gives me a pretty wide...
wide berth. Have a good night, hon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys, gals, thank you for listening. And just stay aware, keep the faith. Remember, we have to save the Republic, and that means paying attention. And it's difficult sometimes because there's so much misinformation out there. But be alert, and, we have to preserve our Republic and our Americanism. And that doesn't mean more government, and it means more individual responsibility, more awareness, better citizenship. And you can't let the other guy carry the water for you, okay? Thank you for listening. Look me up at Ralph's Auto Center in the North End of New Bedford on Church Street. Thank you. God bless. Till next week, God willing.